And the iodine radioactivity reported by Fukushima has a half-life of only like 8 days.
Yeah, and the plutonium, the strontium, the uranium has a half-life of 1 billion years. Why don't you mention that also? What do you think, that just has no, doesn't go past borders? You think that just stayed at Fukushima? Do you think those 9,000 degree Fahrenheit, 3 melted cores are not pumping that into our environment? And that your words are not going to kill people? And that all those spammers you got on that video that are paid spammers? They're paid spammers. That's what these networks use. They use a whole bunch of paid spammers to come in and lick their boots and give them the illusion that they're actually popular. Nobody actually goes to their site to watch their videos. They're put up on blogs all over the place.
So the
Hang on, we're getting
leaks
there.
have decayed a lot since 2011. National Geographic reported back in September that
National Geographic.
the head of the Woods Hole oceanographic...
Why not a peer-reviewed study? Why do you go to National Geographic instead of the peer-reviewed study like is under my video? How hard is it to go look at that and go find it? If you even tried. You're just going to send us to a bunch of magazines and that's your proof. That's your science. Your creature.
Institution for monitoring the radiation in sea life said, and I quote, "Eat up." Back in the U.S., Professor Eric Norman of Berkeley did find radioactive material from Fukushima in California rainwater.
Now, when he's talking about the seafood, I'll come to the rainwater in a second, but when he's talking about that seafood, he doesn't mention the herring that's missing here. He doesn't mention the sardines that are missing here. And the herring that were bleeding from every orifice and all their fins. He doesn't mention that. He doesn't mention the killer whales don't sing anymore. He doesn't mention it's the lowest number of salmon we ever saw in the Pacific. He doesn't mention that the ocean currents whisk it away from Japan immediately. And that's why the dispersal model that you're looking at from the peer-reviewed academic studies is only 2 weeks. And it shows the ocean is dead in 6 years. There will be no oxygen. Fish can't breathe if there's no oxygen in the water. And so these people are out to murder people and to destroy lives. That's what he's doing.
But it came from evaporated ocean water that rains down on us. Is it enough
But it's no problem.
to hurt? Nah.
Nah.
Same issue.
Nah, radioactive. See, there's no safe amount of radioactive. There is no safe amount. That's why they have to lock it up in a sarcophagus for billions of years. That's why they have all these nuclear fallout plans. That's why they have to wear all that special equipment at Fukushima. There is no... See, radiation, there is no safe level. There's only 3 natural indigenous isotopes on this planet. We're talking about weaponized isotopes. You know, if we had a piece of that rod here that atomized and came our way, I couldn't finish that sentence. It would kill you. Nah, it's okay. Right? That's a murderer. Teleprompter.
That we would have with anything else, and Pacific evaporation is kind of a huge amount of water.
Yes, it is. And look at the Pacific and imagine how much water that is. Every day there's 1,000 miles of radioactive clouds coming our way. It really, truly is like that. I'm sick of people like this. I'm sick of it. Look, if the meteorite was coming at us, we would band together as a society and deal with it. That meteorite you're looking at on the screen is coming at us, and nobody wants to admit it. Everybody wants to look away. No, there's no meteorite coming at us in the sky. That's what he's saying. But anybody even tries to look will find that meteorite under my video in the peer-reviewed academic studies. Hang on, I'm keep going. We're almost there.
Bottom line is, the Fukushima disaster was not good. It was pretty bad, but it was not the worst ever. And
But it was not the worst ever. Did you hear that? Did you just hear that? I'm going to play that again. It was bad, but it wasn't the worst ever. Man, I better not see you.
Is kind of a huge...
I better not ever see you in person.
The bottom line is, the Fukushima disaster was not good. It was pretty bad, but it was not the worst ever. And
What's so funny about that? Why is he laughing? Because he's selling it. He's a teleprompter reader. And a traitor to the human race, period. Look, Chernobyl had one. They got a 3,800 mile exclusion zone. 3,800 kilometer, rather. Exclusion zone around it. With levels so high, it's 39 billion times 30. Do the math on that per minute disintegrations. And that's going to go on for about 140 years. And Fukushima's got 3. that are out of control, that had hundreds of tons of fuel rods right on top of it. Once again, that are so dangerous, a Dixie cup of it will kill everybody in a restaurant inside of an hour. Just a Dixie cup, just a tiny cup. And to say that that is not the worst one out there, right? That's a teleprompter reader, so that's his producers from the Discovery Channel that wrote all this out. Their job is to sell it on D News, not to fact check it, to sell it. To get up there, read that, and sell it. And somehow that gives them merit, he thinks, in his own little world. Somehow, I don't know how they can sleep at night after that video. I got no concept of how anybody can get up in front of a camera and say stuff like this. And then use like National Geographics and Discovery Channels and just nonsense as sources. I got the peer review on my video. Go debunk that, you assholes. Sorry, folks.
Affected the people around the plant, killing a dozen right away, but should we be afraid here in the United States, Canada, Mexico, and other places? We should...
See, he's got no right to speak for Canada. He's got no right to speak for Mexico. He's got no right to speak for the Americans. He's not a scientist. He's not an academic. He doesn't study it. He doesn't refer to it. He doesn't use it in context ever, under any circumstances.
No. Earthquakes of 8 or higher magnitude hit only once...
8! Look, the buildings have been... Hundreds of millions of tons have picked it up and broke its back. A 7.2 earthquake 20 days ago. Probably done the same thing. And we can't prove it because they closed down the internet. We can't get any independent pictures or videos coming out of there. The only video coming out of Japan right now is TEPCO's webcam. And then for some reason everybody conceives that as the source to use. And that's what we see everywhere for the last 20 days. Hang on.
About every year since 1900. And the chances of another Fukushima are really, really low.
But the chances of another Fukushima are astronomical. It lives on an earthquake belt. The buildings are all destroyed. They're duct taping the tanks together. They're only bolting them together. It's so toxic that if you try to get into the plant, they can never get your body out. It's just unbelievable.
Still, this week the Japanese government opened a windmill power generator off of the coast of Fukushima Daiichi.
Right, he flips it from one, right, lies, and then comes over with, oh, they're going to that. They're going to wind power.
Finally restore power to the devastated area in the wake of multiple meltdowns of Fukushima disaster. And the Fukushima disaster happened...
Right, see how he slicked that in there? Multiple meltdowns. He just slicks it right in there, you know what? Right, don't spend not even a second on it. He goes from windmills to slick.
There's implications far, far into the future for nuclear power, so we'll just have to see what happens.
Right, for nuclear power. Right, implications not for the human race, not for the entire species in the Pacific Ocean, but for a corporation with human rights, with personhood, corporate personhood. That should be under a charter so they could all be in jail or swinging from poles. Instead, they have human rights, and because they got human rights, all they can do is get a fine, not even a criminal record, but a fine. And then an easy pass, and then all the media will carry him to build him back up again. Creatures like this are the most scariest thing on the planet. They are the real, the real house of horrors on this planet is right there, is these people. They live that life. They believe the things they're saying on the teleprompter. It's sickening.
Recently, the UK has committed to building the very first new...
Look, there's Sellafield down there. It's got 8 million litres a day hemorrhaging into the ocean. It's so toxic there that if a seagull lands, they have to shoot it. The wind that blows over it is contaminated. 8 million gallons a day. It takes like 100 years to decommission these places, and he's going to sell it, right? That's what he's doing. He's selling nuclear power and then the UK.
Nuclear power plant in the EU since the disaster, so at least we're moving forward. But what do you think about
So at least we're moving forward.
Comment?
So at least we're moving forward.
And subscribe for more D News.
Why would anybody subscribe to you? Why should anybody care about you? You lying mouthpiece. Anyway, that was fun. A little bit off my shit. Gee. D News due to frontal cortex. Okay, let me come down. See what we got going on here. Okay. Hi, John. Unseen recording bash those creatures. Good one. Your voice is coming through double. You're stepping on yourself. I don't know how that one's happening. Sheesh. Let's go. Here we go. Catch up on a couple of comments for a rant. Your computer crashed last night. Canterbury? Well, Tracy says the audio is good on her end. His end. It's hard to say sometimes. It's like me, I got a name with Dana, so that's a girl's name too. I knew 8 girls named Dana before I met another guy named Dana. In fact, the guy I met named Dana was in the Pacific Ocean. His boat had sank during bad weather, and we got him and his crew, and actually transferred him in heavy weather. They threw him back in the water, and he swam over to another boat. One of them stayed with us, and we brought him back down to Vancouver Island. He was getting married to a lawyer. But anyway, they popped a plank in the side of their boat at the end of a halibut opening, and the boat floundered. And we got their mayday call. And I spotted the stabilizer poking out of the water. And when I asked Coast Guard how many people for sure was on the boat, and I asked them for names, they told me the names it was almost the same as my name. It's pretty funny, the whole name. But we'll never see those days again. The Pacific Ocean is dead in another year or two. There will be no oxygen in it, and then fish can't live in water with no oxygen. And the radiation, just a single, like if there's a single isotope in my house, this is how scary it is, my whole house becomes contaminated. Like all of Japan is supposed to be dug up. That's the protocol. If you find a sliver, just like an isotope word, in the gravel, you're supposed, with a Geiger counter, you're supposed to dig up 900 foot of topsoil, 6 inches deep, put a fence around, and not take that isotope, though, not take that little piece, that little particle. You're supposed to leave that there, then walk away with a Geiger counter. So 900 feet of topsoil. So all of Japan has been hammered with these death plumes, with these massive, inconceivable death plumes of the aerosoled, atomized rods, and also, just the open fission that's going on. In fact, there's, from what we understand, there's open fission going on in the ocean. The ocean is actually bubbling off Japan, because you had, and I recorded all this originally when it happened, there was 400,000 rods. They've been diluting that by saying that less rods and less rods each year. But I got the AP actual reports is over 400, I can't remember the other numbers, 430,000 rods. And these are very heavy, very deadly rods. Like you say, depleted uranium used to be called depleted uranium, DULRAM, depleted uranium low-level radioactive material. And even then, it's not low-level, because that was just before, when they took it out of the ground, before they weaponized it. And the whole problem right now is not just Fukushima, right? There's 440 plants that are leaching into the ocean. That's their overflow, because if they release it into the community, through the chimneys, people might stop dropping everywhere, and they won't have the UK power plants online. They haven't even got their other ones offline. They haven't got a single power plant on this planet decommissioned. And if they were to go in double time right now, they still couldn't do it for another 100 years. And then you got to take all that waste. We have no way to build anything. And we use all of our resources. And by the way, Discovery Channel, they got the military channel there too, right? They don't got the 5 million orphans in Afghanistan created by the military channel. They don't got the 22 veterans committing suicide every day on the military channel. They don't got the 29,000 rapes reported every year in the military on the military channel. They don't got the 5.5 million depleted uranium rounds they're firing every month in Iraq, month after month. Go look that up on the government's websites. 5.5 million rounds a month in Iraq to get 11,000 Taliban. 5 million orphans to get 11,000 Taliban. Killed everything in Iraq and Afghanistan to get that same 11,000 Taliban, which you're doing everywhere else. Took away all your freedoms and all your civil liberties to get that same 11,000 Taliban that'll never go away. That was created and funded by the CIA to help overthrow Saddam.